Hey everybody, welcome to Vegas Tips and Tricks for a Saturday, June 1st, 2019. We are on countdown mode, 6 days to Las Vegas. That means less of this face and more new Vegas videos. So just kind of update you, probably do another show, something like this, I know, on Wednesday, talking about a little bit of more of a preview of the trip coming up a week or so from now. Let you know where I'm staying, what I'm going to be doing, and try to figure out exactly how I'm going to do this vlog. It's not going to be a live everyday vlog, I'm sorry. We tried that once or twice. It doesn't really work well for me, so I take my hat off to people who can do it. So, and probably a week from today, just because it's going to be a pretty short turnaround time, I think we'll do the first room video. So that's a pretty easy upload. So a week from today, look for a room video from my first hotel, which you'll find out that is on Wednesday. Today, outside of those little housekeeping details, I wanted to start a new feature here on the channel, shouting out other small or starting YouTube channels. Like to build a community of people building each other up around the YouTube universe. I think there's a lot of people who are like trying to compete or trying to be better than everybody else, but that's not my purpose in being here. Obviously, I'm not trying to be better than everybody else, but did want to shout out a couple of people this week. One, because I couldn't decide which of these channels to focus on first, and secondly, because I'm probably not going to do a shout out next Saturday because I'll be in Las Vegas. Number one, a couple of friends of mine, met up with them in Vegas a couple of different times. Two of the nicest people you'll ever meet, all the way from Canada. You're going to want to check out a brand new Vegas YouTube channel called Vegas Best Ideas. TNG are a little different from most travelers. They will visit Vegas multiple times a year and stay several weeks at a time. And I doubt there are very many people who do not live in Las Vegas who know the nooks and crannies of the city as well as they do. I mean, they stay in and around the Strip and have those experiences as well. But I would say if you want to know what's going on in the neighborhoods, if you want to know the secret locals places to stay and play and eat and have fun, then you're going to want to check out this channel. They just have a couple of videos up right now, but with as much time as they spend in Las Vegas and as good as they are at what they do, I think you're going to see a lot of good material coming up from Vegas Best Ideas. I'll put a link in the notes below so you can click through and check them out and subscribe. Secondly, Vegas Best Idea also has a great Instagram channel. They are pretty much Instagram celebrities in the Las Vegas world. I think you can probably get a link to that from their YouTube page or just search. A lot of great stuff there as well. Second channel I want to shout out is a gentleman by the name of Mark Anderson, also oddly enough from Canada. Must be Canada Day. Actually, I think that's next month on the 1st. Huh, how about that? Anyway, I stumbled on Mark a few weeks ago on Twitter. He was talking about I was going to start a channel, was asking some advice from people. Found out that he first started going to Las Vegas back in the late 90s and had inhabited those strange environs of the North Strip that I did back in the day when I was living the budget lifestyle in Las Vegas. Places like the Stardust, Riviera, Sahara, Westward Ho. So we shared some memories of that. He just got back from a Las Vegas trip. I don't know why it is, but I'm just fascinated with his vlogs, and I think it's because he's just such an authentic person. I mean, he's got no pretense. He just tells you, hey, this is what I'm doing today, this is where I'm going, let's check it out, this is what I'm drinking, this is what I'm seeing and doing. And he's also a much more typical Vegas traveler than a lot of the vloggers out there, and that he's a budget guy. Makes no bones about it. He's a low roller. And so he shows you can have a good time in Las Vegas, even if you don't have a big bankroll. Even if you're by yourself and you don't have a big bankroll, you can have a lot of fun. So check out Mark's channel, also in the notes below. So those are my shout outs for the week. I entitled this particular episode, Vegas Memories, Good, Bad, and Ugly. When you've been to Las Vegas 41 times, it's easy to kind of misplace some of those Vegas memories. A few years ago I sat down and actually figured out all the dates and times that I had been to Las Vegas, where I stayed, who I might have gone with, and the dates and so forth, and got those down in a book. It took a while for me to actually hunt down all of the information. Fortunately, I tend to be a bit of a pack rat. So I was finally able to establish all the dates and times and have continued to maintain that database for the last several years. If you are a frequent Vegas traveler, I would recommend it. If nothing else, it has a tendency to jog your memory about certain trips. But I must say there are trips both early on and just a few years back where I can look at it and go, yeah, I did that, but I don't really remember exactly what happened. I don't think there was that much alcohol involved, but there's certainly a lot of great memories of Las Vegas. My very first trip, when I got to the airport at like midnight, waited like an hour for a rental car, finally jumped in the rental car, turned on the radio, and was playing the Faith Hill song, "Hey Baby, Let's Go to Vegas." I guess at that point I knew I was in the right place. Was there with a couple of friends that time. In fact, that was the biggest reason I actually went, was just to spend a little time with them on a longer vacation. So that was a lot of fun. I ended up staying up all night my very first night in Vegas, playing blackjack, drinking screwdrivers, and enjoying the experience. And we got a lot out of that first trip. We traveled around with the rental car. We were able to travel around quite a bit, checked out most of the Strip, downtown, places like the Hard Rock and the Rio. So that was a lot of fun. I've taken a lot of solo trips over the years, and I really enjoy the solo trips, partially because I'm somewhat introverted and my job typically requires me to deal with the public a lot. So for me, it's kind of nice to just sort of get away and have some recharging time. But I will say that some of the most memorable and best moments have been the ones that I've been able to share with other people. I'd have to say my number one best good Vegas memory would be my 50th birthday party, which has now been a few years ago. But sort of planned that out several years in advance, and actually was fortunate enough that I think it was about 7 or 8 people actually traveled to Las Vegas to celebrate with me, which was a lot of fun. I did something on that trip that I really recommend to people, particularly if you're planning some sort of a celebration or a party. Had a room there. I was there like 6 nights. Some of the people were there like 4 or 5 nights, 2 or 3 nights. So it was kind of everybody kind of fended for themselves. We stayed in different places. But the night before my birthday, I booked quite a pricey little room for me, and that was the wraparound terrace suite at the Cosmopolitan. And we used that as sort of the center of the celebration, and it really could not have been a better choice. And you know, everybody was able to hang out in the room, have some drinks, and enjoy their company. You know, if we got bored once in a while, we go down to the casino and gamble and have a few cocktails down there as well. So, and of course you had the terrace and the amazing view that you get from there. So I guess that would be a Vegas tip to have a great memory, is even if you're on kind of a Miller High Life budget, it doesn't mean that you can't maybe have a night where you splurge and double book the hotel and use that second hotel as a part of the celebration. So definitely worthwhile. And of course, you always have good memories of your gambling days. I remember my very first Royal Flush sitting at the back video poker bar at the Palms. It was only $1,000, but for some reason it was a hand pay. I don't know. That's been a few years ago, but. And the greatest gambling day of all time, which came after one of the worst gambling days of all time, which was just, I think, 4 or 5 years ago now, started out the day at the Hard Rock, and within probably 30 minutes I had won $500 on a Keno machine. Ended up going downtown, playing for a while at the Main Street station, and then hit a Royal Flush again for $2,200. So I probably won between $2,000 and $2,500 for that day. Of course, the rest of the day was both very joyous and somewhat of a blur, but that's certainly a great memory as well. I won't spend too much time talking about the bad memories of Las Vegas, because there really aren't that many bad memories. The bad memories are when you're sitting in the airport waiting to go home. Those are the bad memories. Of Of course, there's been those days that maybe we had a few too many cocktails the night before and we didn't feel so great. Actually, I've been sick in Las Vegas a couple of times, not self-inflicted either. That's not fun. I remember staying at the Hard Rock a few years ago in the summertime. Of course, it's 115 degrees. Ended up catching a bit of a cold or flu or something and spent a couple of days basically in bed, not feeling particularly well. That wasn't a good memory. And of course, there's always those days when you lose your shirt. And certainly back in the olden days when my budget was very, very small and my bankroll was very, very thin, if you had a bad day and you spent a little more than you intended to, well, maybe you went for a walk or you watched some TV the next day. But even those are kind of fun memories. The ugly, maybe these are the best stories, I don't know. I will not give names on these because a couple of them involve other people, but they're kind of funny moments. Several years ago downtown, I was staying in Las Vegas with a couple of other friends, and we had been enjoying Fremont Street and its environs for some time. And for some reason, as we were walking past what was then the Lady Luck Hotel and Casino, back before it shut down and later became the Downtown Grand, one of my friends decided that he was going to become a crusader for righteousness and dignity and oppose the filth and pornography on the streets, and decided that he would empty the contents of one of those little newspaper racks that you used to see everywhere that had the ads for, shall we say, less than savory companionship. Decided it would be as an act of moral turpitude that he would throw them into the street. However, it wasn't a good idea to do that when one of Las Vegas's finest was driving by. He quickly discovered that these were in fact wonderful, wonderful magazines, and we helped him pick them all up and put them back in the nice little newspaper dispenser. And fortunately, no one was arrested and no one was harmed. But it was a good memory. I might not remember much about that night, but when the police officer comes up, yells at you, and tells you you better pick all that stuff up again, you do. The second one also involves ladies of the evening. Perhaps this is a PG-13 show for a change, though there will be no nudity. Well, there might be partial nudity coming up. Just keep your eye open for that, or maybe closed. Again, quite a number of years ago, I was staying at the old Aladdin Hotel with a friend of mine, and we'd been gambling in the casino, just kind of, going our own ways for a while. And late one evening, I was approached by a young woman who quite clearly identified herself as a lady of the evening, and was attempting to, get me to, partake in her services. Well, I was not interested for any number of reasons, but I thought this was an interesting encounter because I think at that time maybe it was the first time I'd ever been propositioned. So I went looking around the casino. At that time, the Aladdin, there was kind of a circular, casino had kind of a circular feel. So I was kind of walking around in circles trying to locate him, to tell him my story. And when I finally found him, he was having a long, profound conversation with exactly the same woman. Now, unless I really slept well that night, I'm pretty sure nothing transpired between the two of them, but it did make for a good laugh at the time. But perhaps the ugliest moment in Las Vegas involves me in my underwear. Now, I don't think I'd been drinking a great deal this particular evening, but I'm sure I'd had a few. I decided it was almost time to retire for the night. I'm staying at the Orleans, a place I've stayed many times, highly recommended for budget travel. For some reason, I decided I needed to step outside my door for a moment, and I let the door close. And at that point, it was just me, myself, I, and a lovely pair of boxer briefs, and no clear way how to get back in. I would like to apologize for anyone that might have been staying at the Orleans that night. I'm sure they were traumatized. It would be very difficult for them ever to return to Las Vegas, or at least that hotel again. As I thought to myself, how do I get myself out of this predicament? Well, it turns out that pretty much on every floor of most hotels there's a courtesy phone, and you can go ahead and call down to security, and they've already been laughing at the video of you walking up and down the hallway mostly naked, and so they gladly come up, and they seem quite professional about it. I'm sure it probably happens every day, and they were kind enough to let me back into the room. after which I'm sure they returned to their station, made copies of the video, and distributed it on the internet. So those are some of the ugly moments in Las Vegas, which are actually some of maybe the funniest moments. Do you have any great memories of Las Vegas? Maybe some not so great memories? Maybe some ugly memories? Please feel free to share them. Next week at this time I'm going to be on my way, well, I'll be on my way, I guess I'll be on my way in a sense, on my way to making more good, bad, and ugly memories, and of course I'll be sharing them with you. So until next time, I hope that you have a great and lucky week, and of course, we'll see you soon.